your network is your net worth. If you're spending time with people who party every weekend and don't have that long-term vision, then you're gonna act like that. But if your 4 other friends are entrepreneurs building businesses thinking 5 years in the future, you're going to develop that mindset.
To be successful as an entrepreneur, you have to be able to sell your product or your service. Otherwise, you won't have a business. It doesn't matter how good it is. If you actually cannot sell it to another human being or another business, then you don't have anything. Success in entrepreneurship is trying different things until you figure out what you like or what you're good at, and then going hard into it.
Is there any advice you could give to our viewers who don't even know how to start trying?
It's really not that complicated. You just have to try and realize that nobody cares what you do. So just do it. Welcome back to Real Leverage, guys. Today, me and Colton have a different kind of a podcast. Today, we're going to be recapping the 5 guests that we just had on most recently and bringing you the 6 things that we noticed about all of them. So hopefully you at home can start to apply these mindsets or these lessons into your endeavors. So Colton, first of all, the first thing you wrote down was they all had a competitive nature since they were young. Can you explain that, please?
Yeah. So as you know, we've had 6 guests on, 5 guests now, I think it was.
Yeah. 5 from our new initiative.
5 from our new initiative. So I know from 4 of them, they all talked about their previous life before becoming entrepreneurs. I don't know if Simon dived into his athletic background. I don't think he had much of an athletic background. But the trend from all of them was they did sports in some nature, whether it was team sports or an individual sport, where they had to compete to win. And I find that extremely interesting because you and I were extremely competitive back in our day, and we're still competitive now. But it seems like every single entrepreneur we've talked to, or the ones we see online, they all stem from a competitive background where they have to work as a team or an individual, but their only goal is to win, is to be the best and perfect that skill, whether it's hockey, where you need to skate, squash, where I don't know what it would be for squash, hitting it in the corner of the box, but perfecting that specific skill to be the best and win. And that translates perfectly to entrepreneurship, whether you're trying to perfect sales, marketing, branding, anything of that nature, or even the product to win and beat all your competitors. So I think hand in hand, it's just such a perfect way. If you're a parent and you want to make your kid an entrepreneur, put them in competitive sports, make them fight to be one of the best, and don't give them a goddamn participation ribbon, right? Only go for that first place. I think that is what I've noticed from 4 of our 5 guests for sure. And it just shows, right? Anything they want to do, they're always kind of thinking of it in a competition standpoint. Even when you look at Elon Musk, right? He's got almost, I think, $500 billion, but he's looking for that next goal, that next level of competition to be the best at. So that's
a really good analogy. I mean, like you said, we both played sports since a really young age. I mean, I feel like it's so important for parents to put their kids in sports. My mom made me play sports, and I love sports so much, and I always did, but I got a little lazy when I was 9 and I just wanted to play Call of Duty. My mom was like, no, you have to do 2 sports, minimum 2 sports, all the time. And that was the minimum. And it's funny, I don't know if those couple years influenced me so much with the competitive side of things. I think I've always been really competitive, but it's a great analogy. Business is ruthless, and it is a competition. And yeah, if you're playing sports at a young age, it's gonna influence your mind to want to be competitive long term in business.
I agree, and I think especially now with this world where we're going, where artificial intelligence is more dominant as well. I think it also plays a role for young kids just to be able to socialize and work together because, you know, the world is changing, but we're still humans. We're still going to have to communicate and work together in some capacity. So from an entrepreneurial standpoint, yes, it's great to build that competitive advantage. It's also great to just socialize and learn how to talk to humans, right? So
that's a great point. Even beyond just being an individual competitor, learning how to interact, even if you play a solo sport, you're still interacting with opponents and navigating those conversations with the other team there's just so much to it. Sports is kind of like a good representation of life where there's so many dynamics, so many, and if you play team sports as well, so many team dynamics that you have to navigate. And if you want to be like a really, really good competitor in sports and in life, you need to navigate those situations just like sports. You have to navigate your team dynamics really well. Just like in business, you need to navigate the team that you work with or the other people in the industry. You have to navigate those relationships.
I agree. And I think the last thing I'll say about the competitive edge too, which is I think a way better benefit than learning how to win, is you learn how to take a loss too. You don't win every time. I certainly in hockey never won the banner. I lost many banners in the finals, and I understood and learned how to take a loss
Yeah.
and then how to recalibrate and come back stronger and better than ever. And I think for sports, especially as a young individual, if you want to go into entrepreneurship, learning how to take losses, because you're going to take losses in your business. You're going to lose valuable people, profit. You might even lose your first business, but understanding it's okay and trying again. Sports is the best, or educator, I would say. Now, Tyler, I think our viewers are going to find this really interesting. Hopefully, they picked up on it. But if not, your number one is all our entrepreneurs we have on sell something. Explain that to me, please.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting because from an outside view, people might think only that like if someone has like a sales job, they sell something, and then some other jobs you don't necessarily always sell something. But something I realized about our guests is they all sell something. And I found that interesting for two reasons. One of them I'll keep hidden because that's my reason number two. But the main reason is to be successful as an entrepreneur, you have to sell whatever you're selling, right? Whether it's like a product, a service, you could be a graphic designer, you could be like Simon working as a crane operator now selling coaching, or you could be doing AI door to door. Like there's so many different businesses out there, but it doesn't matter what business you do, you have to be able to sell your product or your service. Otherwise, you won't have a business. It doesn't matter how good it is. If you actually cannot sell it to another human being or another business, then you don't have anything. It doesn't matter how good of an idea it is. I thought that was interesting. And one of the first things there's a good reason it's my number one on my list. It was the first thing that came to my mind when we thought about building out this episode was like, they all sell something. And I'll be surprised if we have a guest on that doesn't sell something. And because we're bringing on entrepreneurs, and I don't see how you can be an entrepreneur without being a salesman.
100% agree. And it comes down to, I mean, all the billionaires, everyone says the number one skills to master to be an entrepreneur is sales. I mean, even as people, we don't realize this, but we're selling ourselves on a daily basis, right? When you're trying to get your kid into that goddamn car seat, you're selling them on getting into that car seat, right? You're trying to persuade them on why it's a benefit to get them into that car seat. So whatever we do in life is sales, which comes down to effective communication, which, like you said, all these guys are able to sell something and
Yeah.
they're extremely effective communicators. Like it's quite impressive at the young age, Richard, Teddy, Liam, how they just can articulate their thoughts and have so much enthusiasm while they're telling our story. Like they gave, I don't know about you, but like during our interviews, they gave me so much energy to hear them talk. And I was
Yeah.
like grasping on every word. It was quite interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point too. It's like funny, the best salesmen sell naturally, right? And I mean, we have our philosophy on like a new style of selling. A lot of people do. We don't think it's so straightforward like it used to be. But at the end of the day, whatever your method of selling is, I feel like the best salesmen just like speak it into existence. I know a couple people in our industry who are amazing salesmen, and I've told you about them, just how they speak about their business or their mining project and how like natural it is. It's the best type of selling. And you see guys like we've had on, the way they talk about what they do and how they're finding success. It's so natural. They're just talking about like their life and their story and why they're passionate about paving their own way. And like that in itself is the best way of sales. So I feel like that definitely benefits them. And I'll dive more into that for my second. But let's roll straight into your second, Colton. The second thing you wrote down was they're all risk takers.
The risk taker part is quite interesting because when you heard all their stories, and again, for our audience, maybe they didn't assume they sounded like risk takers, but the
Mhm.
most prominent example would be Richard, right? Where he decided to take the job in Alberta door to door, where I believe it said advertising. There was
Yeah.
nothing behind it, right? But it was for the story. Now that's a huge risk. You know nothing, you don't even know what you're going into. I mean, when Richard got there, he didn't even realize he was doing door to door, right? And was freezing. So he had to run door to door.
Yeah.
Um, I think it is a quality and a necessity as an entrepreneur to be a risk taker because you're
Yeah.
going against the grain. When everyone goes right, you're going left. I mean,
Hmm.
people who have 9 to 5, no diss against you, but you're being told what to do, when to pee, when to shit, when to eat your lunch. All these entrepreneurs are taking a risk where they're not having a stable paycheck. They might have employees, they might not, but they have to feed these families as well. And it's all on them. And for whatever reason, not everyone wants to be a risk taker. That is fine. But it's just so fascinating that when you talk to each and every one of these guys, they're just like, yeah, I took the risk. There was no hesitation, no second thought, not, I didn't wish I did that. They all took the risk because they saw, which will come into my third point, so I'm not going to say too much, the benefit that was eventually going to come from it. And I think you and I haven't been, it's hard, like we're not extreme risk takers yet, but we took the risk jumping from construction to a new industry without a degree. And our risk was um, talking to CEOs with no experience or understanding of the industry at the start. But
Yeah.
we learned from each phone call, which made us more knowledgeable. So by the 100th phone call, we
Yeah.
looked like geniuses.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. I got a few things to jump off of your point there. The risk as well with what we did, like we have conviction in our knowledge and skills as like individuals in business. And so the risk was if we were wrong, we would just get fired from these new jobs and I wouldn't have a job right now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we had conviction in ourselves because we put in all those late nights studying, learning, networking, like we've put in that work. But that risk was there. Like literally, if we were just full of our own shit, we would just be fired because like there's not, yeah, you can't just come into a new industry with nothing really backing you beyond your own word and your own confidence. And
Mhm.
so I feel like we've executed on that. The other thing with the risk taking as well, like for example, both Michael and Teddy, Michael recommended Teddy for us. We interviewed both of them. Both of them were in music school, at a good music school. With I know Michael had a scholarship. I'm not sure if Teddy did or not, but they both dropped out because they knew that that's not what they wanted to do, or maybe it was a passion, but it wasn't going to be their career, and they wanted to take that risk into business as well. I mean, even me, I dropped out of university 5 years ago and went down a long path of doing different shit. But at the end of the day, it's like the kind of key thing over and over is like you have to keep taking risks, whether they're small or big or not, whether it's completely quitting your job with no income and starting a business or just taking a bunch of series of little risks. At the end of the day, you have to take risks if you want to make it in business.
I agree. And I'm gonna add on top of this, which I know people are gonna get tired of me saying, but you gotta be uncomfortable. You gotta be comfortable with the uncomfortable. And every one of these who took risks were comfortable with their decision, right? But they
Yeah.
knew at first it was gonna be uncomfortable, but they were gonna come out a better person and entrepreneur at the end of the cycle. Like you hear Teddy in our interview where he wanted to scale up and become a manager. And that is extremely uncomfortable for him, but it's going to benefit him long term because now he can manage a sales team of 16 people and identify how to do that. Or Michael scaling up his products and then doing coaching. That's uncomfortable going in front of all these people and telling them exactly how to do a business, but
Yeah.
it benefits him long term. So I think, along with the risk taking, everyone is very confident in their abilities, like you said, and comfortable in what they're doing. And if you fail, again, it's another lesson. Failures teach you more than victories, but you can't learn if you don't try. And I think, at least for Real Leverage, and especially the Teddy episode, we were talking so much about how you just have to try. It's sounds so stupid and basic, but it's true.
Yeah. It's
But
definitely.
I want to jump on top of that because of trying. Now, your second thing is all these entrepreneurs have multiple endeavors. So I'd
Mm.
love you to walk us through that.
Yeah, exactly. So all of them do have multiple endeavors, and I think that's an interesting thing that if you go on YouTube and you go watch Alex Hermosi, or you start to study Dan Martell, someone I like, or like these different entrepreneurs, and you like dissect them as business enterprises, they all have multiple endeavors as well. And even these entrepreneurs who are obviously significantly smaller than these big names I'm throwing around, they're all still doing multiple things. So a couple of them technically still have jobs. A few of them are running businesses. They're all doing social media, which was kind of a criteria me and Colton secretly set for these entrepreneurs. We wanted people doing social media as well. But yeah, beyond like jobs, businesses, social media, some of them offer coaching in communities. I just thought it was interesting that they all have multiple potential streams of income, but they're just really getting out there. And that's like the one of the biggest things that me and Colton decided months ago, like over 6 months ago, was like, we need to just get out there. And a lot of that comes with the social media. A lot of it comes with the podcast as well. But like in general, what did we do? Like me and Colton are both investors. We're doing this podcast. We're doing short form, like it's running out of style. We have been networking like crazy for the last several months. We have jobs, and we're always thinking about other ways to make more money as well. And so the two of us and all of our guests, we're all doing multiple things. And so like long term, those can all turn into multiple streams of income. And that just runs parallel with some of the biggest individuals in business that you can watch online right now. They all have 2 or 3 businesses that they're running. They're all running coaching. The majority of the biggest entrepreneurs in the space do speaking as well and get paid a lot of money for it. And they're all doing social media. So I think that's a huge takeaway for anyone at home. Colton, you say this quote a lot: be read, be seen, be heard. And it's true. You just got to get out there, and you got to try a lot of stuff and really just put everything you have out there and just try many things.
100% agree. And it's quite interesting because you hear the statistic that the average millionaire, I believe, has 7 streams of income, right?
Oh, well.
So it makes sense that every entrepreneur and even the big ones have multiple endeavors, because if one goes bust, you're okay, right? I mean, like the most extreme example, very extreme, would be Elon Musk. I mean, he doesn't just have Tesla. He has the Boring Company. He has SpaceX. He's got a couple other companies,
Twitter.
I think. Twitter, I forgot. Yeah, now X, Twitter. So it's like he's diversified within his own portfolio too, and it makes
Hmm.
sense
Yeah.
because again, if something goes bust, you're able to um, still breathe and live another day, but you also have more capital to allocate to each one of your companies, right? If one is going through a growth phase, you can rely on your other businesses too and take
Right.
personal loan or anything of that nature. I think it's very strategic. I also notice with these entrepreneurs, they have multiple endeavors, but with the coaching, they all just want to help other people. They're not
Hmm.
necessarily charging and price gouging a bunch of people, but Teddy and Simon, who are the two ones that are definitely doing some sort of coaching, they just want to help and make their industries different because they have a
Hmm.
fresh perspective. And I think that is super unique
Hmm.
and needed because you have a lot of these coaches that, you know, going to charge you 30K, 20K. You're
Yeah.
not going to get a lot of value, and they're just doing it for the monetary gain. But
Hmm.
Teddy and Simon especially, it's bigger than themselves, which is super cool to see. I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that.
No, that's a good point. I feel like we're laying a lot of stuff out there. So let's just get right into your third thing. You wrote down they all have a long-term vision, and I know that kind of ties into the end of your point for number 2, but let's get into it. What did you notice about all of their long-term visions?
Yeah, so it's quite interesting, and I'll talk about us after I do the entrepreneurs because obviously it's about them before us.
Hmm.
But while taking risk, they weren't thinking about next month or even next year. Every single one we talked to, even Teddy was like, you learn sales because then you can build a business 2 to 3 years down the line, right? They're thinking they have that, is it tunnel vision? That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Where they're thinking, okay, I do this now, so I can do X later, whether it's building a business, building coaching, helping others, whatever it is. And it's super unique because when you think of the average person, again, not trying to diss anyone, but they're thinking what they're going to do next month or what party they're going to go to,
Or this
but they're
weekend.
not, or this weekend, but they're not thinking about what skills they're trying to build for the future. And how I can relate this back is Tyler and I have said with this podcast, with short form, with all the skills we're learning, we're not expecting results next week. We're not expecting results next year. But we're like, just wait to see 5 to 7 years from now or 10 years from now. And that's how long we're looking out. And that's what you need to do as an entrepreneur. If you
Hmm.
start a business tomorrow, you can't expect to make 10K next week.
Yeah.
But a year down the line, 2 years down the line, you can. But you need to be focused on what the longer term vision is. And ultimately, I feel like with all these guys and every entrepreneur, that's what keeps them motivated and disciplined is they know
Yeah.
what's going to happen years down the line. So
Hmm.
they get kicked down, they get back up because they know what they're building towards.
How do you think someone can develop that mindset then? Because everybody's stuck on this week over week plan, but you look at some entrepreneurs who have long term visions and they stay focused for a really long period of time. How do you think somebody can develop that mindset?
Yeah, that's a great question, Tyler. And I think it really comes down to your network is your net worth. And what I mean by that, and I've said that so many times, and Sean Hildebrandt loves that I say that all the time, is that you're the sum of the five people you
Yeah.
spend the most time with. Meaning, if you're spending time with people who party every weekend and don't have that long-term vision and aren't motivated to do anything else, then you're gonna act like that. But if your four other friends are entrepreneurs building businesses thinking 5 years in the future, you're gonna develop that mindset and that new framework of how life
Right.
and business should be conducted. And it's really, it sounds so stupid, it sounds so simple, but it's hard to build your network and build it with a sum of five people that are more successful than you, know more. And it's hard to be the dumbest person at that point, but it's way more beneficial to you long term. So that or watching some David Goggins motivation about staying hard. Those are like the two alternatives.
That's a good answer
Now,
to that question.
right? Let's just go with the David Goggins. So now, to wrap it up, I want to ask you on your point three, and you said none of them settled for life's first offering, and I feel like this is going to be a banging answer. So take it away. Let me hear it.
Yeah, something that you could probably observe this in almost every single entrepreneur on the planet. And I absolutely observed it with these five entrepreneurs we most recently spoke with. You and I both know damn well we have not accepted life's first offering. Colton's on his 14th job this year, basically. And I've had probably like 15 jobs before, failed 15 businesses. But to speak particularly to the entrepreneurs, I'm thinking back, all of them tried different things. And like a lot of the theme of all the episodes was like kind of like trying things in life and like figuring it out. I feel like that's a big part of becoming a successful individual or entrepreneur is just trying different things and failing or just pivoting because you don't enjoy it, whatever that looks like. But I absolutely noticed that about all these entrepreneurs. They all tried different things. Like Teddy and Michael, they were both in music school. I assume right out of high school, it sounded like from their time frame. And they could have just stayed in music school. They were in like a really good music school. They could have just became musicians or producers or whatever they were going to do, but they didn't want that. So they tried different things. Michael ended up getting into Amazon FBA and figuring that out. Teddy had a few different jobs where he then quit music school, got into doing music himself, and then ended up realizing that a lot of what he was good at was just like communicating with people and like selling and being liked. And so he ended up doing high ticket sales like he's doing now. Even Simon, he's a third generation crane operator, and his first professional experience, I believe he was a plumber or an electrician before actually getting into what was kind of drawn up for him. But it goes to show that like he started something else and it was like, no, I just want to be a crane operator. And even that, he didn't just settle to only be a crane operator. Now he's um, like working on AI systems in the blue collar space. He's coaching, he's helping people become better business operators in that space, which is definitely needed. Even Liam, he had a great door to door sales job in Calgary, and a lot of people would probably just stay comfortable making good money doing that work for a company, and he just decided to quit that after a while and start his own endeavor, right? Same with Richard, exactly the same thing. Like Richard had a few different jobs and he's tried a lot of stuff and now he's killing it, running like an AI business for himself and helping other people learn and giving other people the opportunity as well. I think that's a really good theme of like success in entrepreneurship is trying different things until you figure out what you like or what you're good at and then going hard into it.
What advice would you give to our viewers who don't know how to start trying? Like, what is there a framework you could give them? Because to you and I, we understand when we say trying, we know what that entails and what's going to happen. But is there any advice you could give to our viewers who don't even know how to start trying or feel lost?
It's a really good question. It's interesting because I, as a younger person, and even into my young adult years, I had like a big transformational period where I went from being this like kind of like scared or like unconfident person. I was like social, I was liked and friends with everybody and like friendly, but I had like a lot of like anxiety around trying different things or social experiences. I never wanted to be the spotlight. I was the kid that would go red when I got asked a question in math class. Like that's who I was. And luckily, to share my story, I worked for somebody who really pulled me out of my shell. And I think I would have got there anyways, naturally. But God willing, he embarrassed the shit out of me every day in Home Depot. And that got me out of that framework that, like, literally nobody cares. Like, you could probably count honestly on both your hands the amount of people in your life that really, really, really care about you. And I'm talking like if you have siblings, if you have a partner, if you have best friends, if you have like a really connected grandmother in your life, or maybe a really good aunt, you could probably count on both your hands the amount of people that really truly care about you. And like somehow you just need to realize that beyond that circle, like people won't even really pay attention to you or what you're doing. Like most people that I've known my whole life don't care about this podcast or my social media. And yet they were the reason to some degree that I was scared to start it. And so this long answer is basically you need to just realize that people don't care what you do. And so don't be afraid to try. And it's like, I don't know how you can go out and just learn that mindset. It's almost like just closing your eyes and ripping off that band-aid and trying something. But you will so quickly realize that people don't care what you do. Like I've probably posted like 120, 130 videos on Instagram now. And from video 1 to 5, the amount of people, like number one video that got like likes, comments, whatever views from people that I know, like from my personal life and like my personal past, to video 5, it dropped off like 95%. And now, because of how the algorithm realizes that they don't care about you, there's like 3 people in my personal life that like any of my videos on Instagram now. And that happened from 1 to 5. Like in 1 week, you can go from being terrified to posting and starting something to the end of the week having the algorithm not even show it to them because they just don't care. And it's so funny. You just have to really wrap your head around that. And the mindset just develops from trying. It's kind of funny, this whole podcast we've done today, Colton. I feel like we've given a lot of like funny, basic advice, but it's just that simple. And hopefully, if you made it to the end of this podcast, you are able to realize that it's really not that complicated. You just have to like try and realize that nobody cares what you do. So just do it.
I 100% agree. And I think it's super funny to say, but social media has been the greatest teacher for me, and I'm going to assume for you too, in showing that one, you just need to put yourself out there and you're going to be rewarded generously from doing it, especially yourself. And two, yeah, most people don't give a shit. It's like they're going to see your 40-second video if they watch all 40 seconds and then scroll to fucking, let's say, Alex Earl doing a get ready with me, and you're already out of their mind. It's not that deep. I think that even comes down to conversations. Like you hear so many times, people be like, "Oh, I was so embarrassed with that conversation," and it's like, really? Because they probably forgot about it. I almost forgot about it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's an example in New Orleans. I won't say this specific person, but there was like, well, you know who I'm talking about. It kind of pushed me off a little bit, and it was like, oh well, who cares? He's forgot
Yeah.
about it. I forget about it. You move on, and yeah, just trying is the biggest thing. But I feel like it's just repetition. And then every time you start, it's kind of like cold calling too. Every time you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. That wasn't so bad. Oh, they don't care. Oh, no one cares. Fuck it. I'm just going to go all in. And I think it's not something that happens overnight, but it's a gradual lesson that you learned, let's say over a year time, and then you look at
Mhm.
us and now we don't care.
And to your earlier point, your network is your net worth. If you're so scared to post a video or to start a business or to do something, it probably is less scary for you to go DM someone on Instagram who's doing that and getting on the phone with them and getting them to tell you, because they're ahead of you, they've done what you're scared to do, and just getting them to tell you why it's not scary and it doesn't matter, and having them push you to start. Like, that's exactly like your earlier point. Just go out and find someone. Hell, my phone number is everywhere. You can phone me and I can tell you
Mhm.
what, like, my story and more in depth, or my experiences, or give you advice. Like, we're not the most successful people or anything, but we're doing it and we're a good example. And you can find these people easily. Like, look at all the entrepreneurs we're interviewing, right? Like, these people combined, they're like, you know what I mean? They're racking over a million, like, few million bucks a year between all of them, probably, or more. And it's like, these people are making a lot of money, and they'll just talk to us. And it's the same thing for you at home. If you're too scared to start, just find someone who did, who was in your shoes not long ago, and they'll give you that advice and push you over the edge to start.
I 100% agree. And I think it's so funny. One of the consequences of social media too is we're okay saying anything online or DMing someone and being like, hey, I really support that. But as soon as they're put in front of you, you start stuttering, you're nervous, you're sweating. But we're all people. And I think it was cool to realize when we started talking to these billionaires and centimillionaires that they're literally just people. Just because there's a high figure behind their net worth, they interact like all of us. Nothing changes. I mean, some of them gain an ego, but most of them are very humble and generous. And all the entrepreneurs we have networked are super humble and just are just so genuine. And you don't know that until you actually have a conversation with someone. So just do it.
That's a great way to end it, Nike. Just do it. Hit my DMs for that brand deal. But let's wrap it up. Thank you for watching. Please comment down below if you like these episodes. We're going to continue to interview entrepreneurs through all walks of life, different ages, different industries. We think those are really valuable and we're really enjoying doing it. So we're going to keep doing it. But let us know in the comments if you've made it this far, if you want us to do these recap videos, because I think it's pretty helpful. And even if you watched all 5 of those interviews, probably a recap like this is productive for you. So let us know in the comments down below. And thank you very much for watching.